Are you worried that you're losing muscle while you're losing weight on GLP-1s? Well, so many of you that watch us have said, hey, you guys, you've got to get a DEXA scan. You might have osteopenia. You might have osteoporosis. You're going to fall down and break a hip. Oh, no. Well, so what happens? Well, so we scheduled a DEXA scan and we decided to go get one. Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
And we are the Downsized. We're that channel that likes to talk about GLP-1s every day. So we talk about our journey. We bring you the news every week. We interview folks just like you and learn about what's going on in the world of GLP-1s. Today, we're going to walk you through the entire DEXA scan process, tell you about our results, tell you what we thought, tell you if we thought it was worth the money or not.
I've lost over 50 pounds using a GLP-1. And, you know, when you go on any weight loss plan, you lose some muscle along with your fat. And so a lot of people like to get these scans at the beginning of their journey so they can then compare to the end of their journey. Well, we didn't do one in the beginning, but now we're in maintenance. So we decided to go and get one and see where we are now.
Before we jump into that, if you don't actually know who we are, my name is Christopher Durham. This is my lovely wife, Laraine. Between the two of us, we've lost over 150 pounds. We have been on GLP-1s now for almost 2 years. So we've taken tirzepatide. I've personally taken Zepbound and Mounjaro as well. And it's changed our lives. And that's why we're here talking about it. I have personally lost 100 pounds. And I can't say it enough. It's changed my life. I'm no longer on blood pressure medication, on cholesterol medication. Every day is different and better. How about you?
Right. No, same. I've lost over 50 pounds. We're in maintenance now. We're still taking our weekly shot of our GLP-1. I'm on a 7.5 milligram dose of compounded tirzepatide. Christopher stayed at his highest dose of 15 milligrams compounded tirzepatide. You know, like and subscribe to the Downsized. We're here every day talking about important topics related to, you know, this journey we are on with the GLP-1.
Now, it's important to know we're not doctors.
We are not doctors.
I'm not a doctor. Lorraine's not a doctor. So if you need help in your journey to lose weight, to get healthier, please talk to your doctor or your prescriber and get a plan built just for you. Honestly, we're just a suburban couple.
I'm just a girl
who
in the
wanted
world
to regain our health and have used these medications, and it's worked wildly well for us.
Okay, so what is a DEXA scan anyway? What is it? Why do I need one? DEXA is short for dual energy X-ray absorption. How do you say that, Christopher?
Absorptiometry, I believe.
Absorptiometry. Okay, that's why we call it DEXA.
Somebody can correct us.
That's why we call it DEXA for short. Okay, this is a medical imaging test that uses very low dose X-rays to measure bone health and body composition. It's quick. I think it took, about 15 minutes, painless, and considered the gold standard for certain health assessments. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through our experience. We took some pictures, we have some results, and so we're going to let you know how it went for us. Here's a picture of us in the front of the building. It's a lovely old home that has been completely remodeled. It's DEXA Fit Lake Norman. So if you're in the Lake Norman, North Carolina area, they pull clients, he said, from a wide radius, from different states and everything. We were very impressed with the cleanliness of the facility, the newness of the equipment, the knowledge of the owner who ran the tests and walked us through everything. You know, we just went last Saturday, and this was our date of our test is September 20th, 2025.
Yep. And here's the owner, and this is actually at the end of it. He had a lobby area with a large TV, and he walked you through
all the results.
All of the results and gave you his thoughts on the results and so forth. One of the things I would tell you is, in addition to having a why for why you're doing all of this stuff with GLP-1s, and we've talked about that extensively, I would also begin to think about what your goals are. So what are you trying to achieve? Because one of the questions he asked, and he gets a lot of athletes that come in that do this.
Yeah.
Right? And the athletes, maybe I want to go faster. I want to be stronger. I want to be whatever.
Build muscle.
And depending on whether you're a 75-year-old lady trying to lose 50 pounds or a 30-year-old trying to lose 400 pounds.
Right.
But I mean, you're just going to have very different goals,
Right.
and how you interpret the results based off of your goals is pretty key.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And we'll go through all those at the
So
end.
I thought it was incredibly interesting. It took a little longer, and all told than I thought it was going to, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Here is me actually on a table. It's remarkably boring to watch. Getting the little arm moves back and forth.
The table kind of shakes. It kind of shook a little bit.
Completely painless. It's not a big deal. Now, I will tell you, you can't wear any metal in this. They ask you to wear shorts and you kind of workout gear.
I had to wear a sports bra with no hooks, no metal. Yeah. So nothing can be metal, no jewelry, take off your rings, everything. Yeah. And it took about, I think it was 15 minutes was the run time on that.
All total. And I think actually the little buzzing was only about 6. So we'll walk through Laraine's to begin with.
You can tell I look so excited, right?
She looks thrilled.
Yeah.
We'll walk through Laraine's to begin with, and then we'll do mine. We'll give you all the results. What we did prior to going here is, as you guys know, we own a Renpho digital 4-point scale, as well as a body pod 8-point body analyzer, both bioimpedance devices. So we will actually show you the results and talk you through and compare them.
Right, because some of them are very different.
The very inexpensive scale to this, to the body pod, because everyone out there, every time you comment, you say, you've got to go get a body, a DEXA scan. It's the most accurate. And my question, as you guys know, is always, well, how does that accuracy change what you're going to do?
Right. Well, and I don't know. And how different is my home scale different than a DEXA scan? So just knowing that can be helpful as well.
Well, here's Laraine, and we did it on September 20th, 2025. So why don't you walk me through, Laraine?
Okay. All right. Disclaimer, we had been on a cruise and my weight was a little higher than it normally is. But anyway, so I weighed on the Renpho. The weights are very similar. The DEXA scan, it weighs you as you lie on the table. So that was a little different, but I mean, the DEXA scan really isn't there to be a scale. It's there to be an x-ray machine. That was a little off between the Renpho and the body pod. The body fat, as you can see on the Renpho, it says 19.6, body pod 31.5. That's a big jump. And DEXA 31.1. So from the body pod to the DEXA, it's only a 1.2% difference. Very close, right? But very different. Those two are very different than the Renpho, because the Renpho only gets your waist down. It doesn't take into account upper body and arms.
In those 4-point scales, it goes up one leg across your crotch and down the other, and it doesn't keep going. So that top half of your body, it doesn't know.
That's why it's so different. And that's something I didn't realize until lately. And then you can see my lean mass. We're just now really comparing the body pod and the DEXA, and they were only 1 point off. So my lean mass is a little higher on the DEXA at 94 pounds, and my bone mineral mass in pounds is pretty much the same DEXA scan to body pod. Now you can see the Renpho is decidedly a little bit more off. Just know that information.
Now, the difference, though, is with the Renpho and the body pod, you own it, and it's at your house, and you can do this every day if you want to. So you will have a series of daily measurements. Typically, it's the way we've used our Renpho, and honestly, for $20 or $30, what it is, it's not a bad scale. We don't have any problem with it. If you don't have any way to measure yourself, that's a great option if that's what you can afford. But it's looking at the trend line. It's not looking at the specific.
Yeah, I mean, we used our home scale Renpho for almost, I've been using it for 3 years, 4 years maybe. Yep. And it's really good at measuring your weight. It's really good at measuring your weight, and it gives you a directional, like Christopher said, a directional trend on the other measures. But anyway, let's get back to the DEXA scan.
All right.
So here was my total body fat and my total lean mass. So my total body fat is 31.1%. So 45 pounds of my basically 145-pound body is body fat. I'm 3 points under my peer group average of 34%. So I'm a little less body fat than people my age and sex. Now, this little box at the bottom says the target is 28.1. So that gives me maybe something that I want to work on. It's not that much higher, but it might be something to look at.
But so it's interesting. So this is where you've got the actual scientific numbers coming in, and then you've got somebody somewhere, some algorithm that decided a target. I don't know where that target came from. We didn't set that target. There was no goals. There was no.
No, we didn't set those targets.
So maybe that's a relevant target to you. Maybe it's not.
Yeah. And then in the lean mass, that's 65% of my body. So 94 pounds of my body is lean mass. And I'm 4 points higher in this one too than my peer group average of 61%. So it's given me, even though I'm a little higher than average, it's giving me a target to be 97 pounds of lean mass. So these numbers are telling me maybe you want to lose some body fat and maybe you want to increase your lean mass.
And so to be clear, because there's a fundamental misunderstanding on what the DEXA scan's measuring. It cannot actually measure your muscle. What it does measure is what's called lean body mass, or lean mass is a little bit more simple way to do it. And that's the total weight of your body minus fat mass. And there's a whole equation on it, but basically the lean body mass includes organs, skin, bones, body water, muscle mass. Now, the theory being, if you repeat a DEXA scan a second time, a third time, or whatever, generally your organs and your skin don't
stay
change
constant
a lot of weight. Now, for those of us who may have gained a lot of weight and have a lot of extra skin, that is not always true.
Well, the skin was still there. It didn't go away.
But essentially, that's not, all of that
constant.
is not, it's all not muscle. So don't think of it that way, but it gives you a good understanding.
I guess the DEXA really can measure the fat. It doesn't really measure muscle. It kind of subtracts your total mass minus your fat mass, and then that gives you your lean body mass.
Or your fat mass, and it can measure your bone mass too. Mm-hmm. So it knows those things, and then everything.
Well, your bones are
lean
part of your lean body mass.
Yeah, but it will see a weight later because of the calcium in it. It's able to pull that out.
We have some bone.
Yeah.
Bone numbers. So this slide talks about visceral fat. So the visceral fat is the fat that is around your organs, and it's generally considered more dangerous fat. You don't want this visceral fat. My DEXA scan said that I have 1.12 pounds of visceral fat. I'm exactly in my peer group average of 1.3. And, it would like for me to be a little bit more toward that green area. The target is 0.6. All right, so that's part of that body fat percent that maybe I need to work on.
Now, the interesting way, and they didn't give us a picture of this, or I would have included it, but he showed us on the screen the way they measure this is essentially looking at the x-ray, and the little fat edges out, they can subtract, and then they do an algorithmic calculation to get to visceral fat.
Okay.
Which was kind of cool.
So here is fat mass and lean mass by each section of my body. So I printed all this out. They give you the QR code and you can print this at home. And he went over all of this with us in the studio. So we showed my arms. And if you're wondering, are they symmetrical? You can see my left arm has slightly more body fat than my right. Big deal. It's pretty much the same. And I'm in my peer group average for arm body fat. My lean mass, so that other top corner, lean mass arms, my left and my right. My right is has a little bit more lean mass than my left. And again, I'm exactly in my peer group of 60% lean mass for arms.
And basically what he said is typically your dominant side.
Right, I'm right-handed.
Whichever one you use gets more work, so you have more muscle.
Right, you use the muscle, the muscle gets the signal to grow. In my trunk, I guess that's really like torso, back, abs, pretty much exactly symmetrical front and back. Okay, great. And for my body fat, I'm 6 points under my peer group average. And for lean mass, I'm 8 points over my peer group average. Okay, so that's good. And then legs, my left and right have the same amount of body fat. And I'm again in my peer group average for legs, and my lean mass pretty much the same on both sides, and I'm in my peer group average for lean mass on the legs. Okay, so I thought this part was interesting. This is the bone mineral content. So this is my actual skeleton, which is pretty cool to see your actual skeleton up on a computer screen, and then we could get the printout. So I have 5.33 pounds of total bone mass in my entire body. It's pretty cool. When you think about how much your skeleton weighs, I would think it weighs more than 5 pounds. I think he asked us to guess, and we guessed
wrong.
like 20 pounds,
Yeah.
30 pounds. And then this other T-score, the T-score is, let me read what the definition of that is. A T-score compares your current level of bone density to an average healthy young adult of your sex. It is a standard deviation measurement, with -1 to +1 being the range and 0 being the average. So the more positive your score, the higher your bone density and the lower your fracture risk. So, and mine is excellent. All right. So I have good bone density compared to a healthy young woman.
Now, this portion of the test, and if you've ever had your insurance company that will pay for one, the DEXA scan was originally designed to test for bone density and all of that.
Right.
Looking for osteopenia, osteoporosis.
And I think I had this maybe in 2015. The doctor sent me to the hospital. I remember laying on this type of thing, and she said, "Oh yeah, your bone density looks really great."
Apparently there's a different set of softwares that run the machine and give you different results. So if you had that test, it may not have given you all the other things that we have.
Yeah. Okay. And then this is the fat-free mass index. And we had never heard of a fat-free mass index that takes into account your total lean mass in relation to your height. It is calculated by dividing your fat-free mass in kilograms by your height in meters squared.
And there's a whole formula there. So essentially this is a replacement for BMI that's supposed to be more accurate. And it's what bodybuilders usually use to compare themselves to other bodybuilders. So, take it for what it's worth.
Fat-free mass includes everything in your body that is not fat, such as muscles, bones, organs, and water content. A high FFMI typically indicates a higher proportion of muscle mass, which is associated with improved physical performance and metabolic health. I'm slightly above average there, and so that's a smiley face. So I guess that's good. The more muscle I have, I guess the higher that would be. And then this is my overall body score, like how this is calculated. I don't know, based on all these
this is
measures,
which is the companies, they have some algorithm that calculates against the numbers.
Yeah, so I got an A-. So I like being an A student, so I was very happy to see the A-. It has my total mass, my lean mass, my body fat, my visceral fat. And both of these are my actual skeleton. I think the red one was I don't remember.
The soft tissue.
Soft tissue, and the blue one was more of the muscle, maybe bones.
Yeah, I don't know.
Looks like bones, because I can see my chest bones and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. Basically what it's telling me is, I thought I was at 19-20% body fat, and then now I know I'm actually 31% body fat, which is a little high, and it actually scored my weight as a little on the high side. Something to think about, something to as I build my workout plans and think about how I'm eating going forward.
But again, this is a scientific test. It doesn't have moral judgment. It doesn't know what your goals are. It doesn't know where you're trying to go in your life. Right. So she loves it.
Pretty good.
But you have to take all these numbers and say, well, how does this fit into my lifestyle and what I'm trying to accomplish in my healthcare? So it's a great thing to take to your doctor and say, let's talk through the healthcare goals and use it appropriately. I don't know that I would gain weight or lose weight based strictly off.
Well, I do.
Unusual algorithm here.
Yeah, no, I would. Body fat is something that I want to work on, and I am working on my muscle mass too. So that's kind of goes towards what I'm trying to do. Here's Christopher Durham.
Me up next on the table. We did the exact same thing. Renfo, body pod, DEXA scan. I think I weighed about 15 minutes before we left in the exact same stuff. So very similar. My weights on all three were exactly the same.
He's the man
scale,
at the man at the DEXA Fit said, you know, scales are very good at have gotten very good at measuring your weight, right? Any scale right now should be very accurate measuring your weight. All the other things might vary a little bit.
So let's look at all my other things. So body fat percentage on the Renfo, I was at 24.5. On the body pod, I was 27.2. And on the DEXA scan, I was 27.6. The difference between the body pod and the DEXA scan was up 0.4%. When you look at the lean mass in pounds, I was at 136.6 on the Renfo, 131 on the body pod, and 129 on the DEXA scan. So the difference, the DEXA scan showed me down about 1.54%
to the body pod.
To the body pod. The bone minerals by pounds, I was at 7.2, Renfo 6 on the body pod and 6.21 on the DEXA scan.
No.
You see, it was 0.2.
It was very close.
It was very close.
Under 2%. Yeah, you know, very, very close, with DEXA scan being the most accurate.
All right. So the question becomes, you know, is this enough of a difference for me to do something different? And we'll continue to look at the numbers. The body fat total, so I showed 27.6% body fat, or 52 pounds. So I'm 2 points over your peer group of 25%, which isn't a huge surprise because we've always known my BMI floated right there at that. I wasn't quite into the normal range. I was at the overweight range. So that's kind of what I expected. And to level set for me, my goals for this weight loss all along were to be healthier and to just be an average dad. Just average. So I'm living in that space pretty clean. The lean mass side of it's 129 pounds, or about 69%. So you're 1 point under your peer group, average of 71%. I'm not sure how that's 1 point under, but it's a little more than that. But that's what they say. This is my target's 133. Okay. In all likelihood, my weight bounces up and down 3 or 4 pounds on any given week. So those numbers could adjust week to week, and that wouldn't shock me a whole lot. Visceral fat, I'm at 1.38 pounds. So just over on the needs focus side, but pretty close to it. So that's another one of those that's going to hit because of I'm a little bit higher on the other side of it. And then all the body fat and the lean mass numbers. Essentially, I live in this space where I'm pretty even. I'm a little up on my right-hand side. I didn't print mine out, and I cannot read all those numbers.
Oh. Well, your body fat's pretty symmetrical, a little bit more on your left. Your lean mass on your arm, your right arm's a little bit stronger. You are right-handed. Body fat in the trunk it's symmetrical, and you're exactly in your peer group average for body fat in the trunk. And the lean mass, you're 1 point over your peer group in your lean mass for your trunk. On the legs, your right is a little bit higher than your left in terms of body fat, and in terms of lean mass, they're almost identical. So body fat, you are 5 points over your peer group average, and in lean mass for your legs, you're 4 points under your peer group average.
Bone mineral content, we're looking at 6.21 pounds. So it's the total pounds of bone mass in your entire body. So I'm taller than Laraine. Mine's a little bit more. Not a huge surprise there. And my bone mineral T-score is right there, is looking good. It's a nice smiley face towards the excellent side of it. And yeah, no big deal. We're right there where we should be. I would say I am over average, and I'm doing a great job. All right. Fat-free mass index is 19.4 kilograms, which again,
I mean, I think
it's a little bit above average.
Good. Yeah. What was mine on that? I don't remember.
I don't know.
16 points. Well, it's a different range for me.
Range.
But our happy faces are just about in the right. Mine's a little bit more happier than yours, but very similar.
Right. Basically, it says I'm average, or a little bit better than average, which is awesome. They give me a B minus. So I think probably I bet you if I lost 5 pounds, I'd jump up to an A minus. Yeah, I am over there noticing the optimized spot. All right. So then we also did a resting metabolic rate because Laraine had a lot of interest in it. This test I thought was expensive, to be honest.
Maybe. It was not a pleasant test. It wasn't hard. It just, you can see on my nose, that is a hard nose clip. So you could not breathe in or out through your nose at all. You had to breathe in and out through that mouthpiece, which was connected to the machine. And it was just a little unnerving. Like at times I kind of was like, I'm trying to swallow. And then he's like, try to keep your heart rate consistent. He put on a video of turtles in the Galapagos Islands. And this test took about 12 or 13 minutes. And I feel like it just took forever because I was trying to calm my breathing and breathe, not have my heart rate, not be, upset about it. But it was kind of upsetting. I guess that's why you put on the calming video and the Galapagos are actually a fascinating place. Like maybe we should go there someday. Anyway, put it on the list. Okay, so RMR. What is RMR? It's resting metabolic rate. So even at total rest and without moving your body, if you're laying in a coma, if you're laying in bed, doing nothing, breathing, your body is consuming energy, right? It's consuming calories. So your RMR, resting metabolic rate, accounts for about 70% of all the energy you spend. And many factors can affect the RMR, including environment, genetics, hormones, what you eat, and how you digest and absorb it, physiological and psychological stressors. And this has a note, restrictive dieting and chronic stress, for example, can lower the RMR up to 15%. So if you're chronically stressed, you're not going to be able to burn as many calories at rest, right? And the whole point of this is, for me, I want to eat as many calories as possible. I want to eat the correct number of calories, not as many as possible, but the correct number vis-a-vis my goals, right? So you can see there was a huge difference in these numbers. The Renfro says 1504, BodyPod says 1207, and the test is 1427. So it was significantly different than the BodyPod, but this is a more involved test. It's not calculating based on anything but your carbon dioxide that you're breathing in and out. So 1,427 calories really is my resting metabolic rate. Now, let's go to the next slide.
Well, but so to be fair, Renfo and BodyPod are both bioimpedance scales. Mm-hmm. It's a completely different way to test it. This machine is designed
it's completely
to just
different.
Do this. So honestly, the Renfo is kind of impressive on that. I don't know how it did so much better than that, but it's pretty close.
Well, it's just a calculation. So whatever they're using for a calculation based on me was pretty close.
It's pretty close.
But I mean, I'm going to accept this test as the most accurate. 1,427. I don't know what the fast means. I think that's probably a little bit more than other people for my height and weight. And the primary fuel source, now this was interesting to me. I burn more carbohydrates than fat for energy. And that, I don't know if you guys have heard me talk about the Lumen that I used to have. It was a little device that looked like a vape that when you would breathe into it every morning and it would tell you how to optimize your eating for the day, whether you needed to eat more carbs or more
and essentially what it's measuring
protein
is glucose. The carb is glucose.
Right. But I think if you're blowing out more, it's based on carbon dioxide that you're. Anyway, that's just kind of an interesting point. I don't really know what to do with that, except say.
But that's the overarching.
That's interesting.
There's so much data, some of which
I don't.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
So now there's also an app that you can download from DEXA Fit. And this came from the app. And this is something he went over with us when he went over our results, but it was not in our report. So I wanted to point this out. Lying in a coma, lying in bed doing nothing, I'm burning 1,427 calories a day. But once you get up and you take a shower and you go to work and you walk around and you digest food, all those things take up a few more calories. So now with, no physical activity, with no working out, my total daily energy expenditure, or my TDEE, is 1712. So at a minimum, I need 1,427 calories to keep myself alive. And then when I start moving around, I need an estimated minimum of 1,712 calories to maintain my weight with no exercise, with no additional exercise. That is at a sedentary desk job kind of level. Okay. So if you wanted to, calculate how many calories do I need to eat to have a calorie deficit, if you took that 1712 and took out 500 less, I can't read what it says because there's something over it.
It is what it is, babe. I don't know.
What does that say? Well, it must be 7 minus 5 is 12. So 1,212 calories would be my daily calorie goal, what I would need to eat to lose weight doing no exercise. Okay. So 1,212 calories. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Okay. Now, if I'm sedentary, the first one is sedentary, desk job and little to no exercise. I work in front of a computer. I record videos. I do not have a high energy level job. And with little or no exercise, to lose weight, so for fat loss, I need to be between 1,200 and 1,212 calories. There's your 1,200 calorie diet. And I've been on 1,200 calorie diets before. If you're lightly active, meaning exercising 1 to 3 days per week, now my TDEE got a couple hundred calories added to it, and it's 1962. To lose fat, I can eat up to 1,462 calories, exercising 1 to 3 days a week. If I want to say that I'm moderately active and exercise 3 to 5 days a week, still with a desk job, my TDEE now is 2,212. And to lose weight, I can eat up to 1,700 calories. If I'm very active, I have now a physical job and some exercise, it goes up again. If I'm extremely active, which means I have a physical job and intense exercise 3 to 5 days a week, it goes up again. So I had told the DEXA Fit operator man that I was 1 to 3 days a week. And Christopher said, well, that sounds low. I said, well, I wanted to calculate it at the low end. If I'm exercising 1 to 3 days a week, my TDEE is 1962. And to lose fat, I can eat between 1,200 and 1,462 calories a day. You also see the lean gain over there. In order to gain muscle mass, you need to eat more calories generally. Now, I've heard bodybuilders and some doctors say that you can build muscle in a calorie deficit, but you have to be eating a lot of protein, and that's a whole nother conversation.
It would be challenging for the average person.
Right. So generally, to build muscle, you have to add calories onto your daily expenditure. And so that's what that lean gain column is.
And this guy has a lot lot of athletes that come in and do this testing.
So there a lot of them are wanting to gain muscle.
Swimmers and
baseball players
and stuff. So that's a whole, like I said, know your goal, because that is a whole different goal than what you or I probably want to do.
So what I'm taking away from this, I exercise at least 1 to 3 days a week on average. Now, he said you could adjust it daily. Like if you exercise that day, add an extra 100 calories to your daily calorie total. But, who has time to do all that math every day? Maybe you do. I'd rather get an average. So 1 to 3 days a week, desk job, my total daily energy expenditure calories are 1962. If I want to lose fat, I need to eat at least 1,200 and up to 1,462. So I'm going to say 1,400 calories a day could be my target with exercising 3 times a week to lose fat.
And no, you don't count calories and have no desire to count calories, correct?
I don't count calories. When he first threw out this 1962 number at me, I thought, there's no way I can eat 1962 calories. I'm sure I do not eat that on a daily basis. Oh my goodness. Well,
flabbergasted. Oh my word.
I've been on very low calorie diets in the past of 800 calories a day. I've seen many a diet in a magazine through the years of 1,000 calories a day. I've also seen a lot of 1,200 calorie a day diets. But this is telling me I do not need to go below 1,200. 1,200 should be the minimum that I am eating. And really the minimum should be that 1427 number to keep all my body functioning properly.
So when you were counting, because you certainly have over your life,
well,
how accurate do you think your counting was, or how accurate is the average person's counting?
Well, that's a good point, because, we read the calories on a box or we calculate the calories of an apple, but we're not measuring the apple on a scale and knowing exactly how much that apple has. So you're going to be off a little bit. Even estimates on the box of packaged foods like cereals, and I weigh my cereal every day, but it's not exact, right? They're estimates. And even then, are you tracking every single thing you eat all the time? Well, no. I mean, I'm not. I go in the pantry and I grab a few almonds before dinner. I'm probably not writing that down, although it counts because, everything counts that you take in. So most people do not estimate their calories.
It's not 100%.
It's not an exact science. And even at Weight Watchers, you're counting points, which really kind of screwed up my head for a long time, because every year or every couple of years, they would change the way those points were calculated. So some years oatmeal was 3 points. Some years it was 5 points. I think now it's 0 points, which
so when I look at this chart, so that moderately active.
Yeah.
There's 1,212 to 1,712. There's a 500 calorie gap in there.
Yeah.
Well, for those of us who have ever eaten a lean cuisine, that's pretty much like
300 calorie lean cuisine.
Like almost 2.
Yeah, well, that's why I was so interested in this test, because what really does my body need at a minimum? Adding in exercise, what does it need at a minimum? So if I said, I don't want to lose any more weight, I don't want to add any more muscle, I'm fine just as I am today, it would be 1,962 calories, which, because my diet culture brain has been brainwashed since, 1978, that's, that just sounds like a lot to me, but it's really not. That is what my body needs to maintain my weight. It's 1,962 calories.
So what I'm curious about is where this crosses from science. So the science, and it's measuring and doing all those things accurately, to art, and how do you avoid obsession? Because there's a huge gap there, and there's a huge gap in what potentially you're tracking. So the numbers that you have may or may not be correct.
Right. And not everybody has a desk job, and not everybody has a very physical job. And there's a lot of things in between there, right? Maybe you have a desk job, but you have to run around the office and do it. So that can vary, right? And then the exercise, like some days I do yoga and that's 100 calorie burn. I know that because of my Apple Watch. It's an estimate. And then some days I'm doing cardio dance and that's a 300 calorie burn. So to kind of average it out, that's kind of an estimate also. And the calories that I'm burning from these exercise sessions, that's an estimate also, because it's really just taking into account my heart rate, my weight, age, sex, and it's giving you an estimation. You could go onto, he had some other machines where you could calculate your VO2 max, where you're running at full speed with a oxygen mask on. I mean, you can get really down to the nitty gritty, but I thought this was really interesting because I was very much wanting to know, am I eating enough? And I think basically the answer is no, I am not eating enough.
So did you know that before you did this?
Yes, but I didn't know to what level. Like, I think I'm eating probably 1,400 calories a day. Am I eating 1962? Mm-mm. And I also am letting the scale kind of guide me. Back in May, I had saw my weight slip down to 138 pounds, and I'm like, I'm not trying to lose weight here. Why am I suddenly losing weight? Well, I was working out a lot and I wasn't eating enough.
There you
So,
go.
and the scales have gotten very good at measuring your weight.
All right, so here's me in the chair. I didn't like this test at all.
Yeah,
I found it
I can tell by
highly
your
unpleasant.
face.
It didn't hurt. It was just unpleasant.
It was unpleasant.
It was, and
Yeah.
I think it was like $175. I thought it was kind of
I
expensive.
think it was closer to 100, but anyway.
Either way, I thought it was expensive. So the Renfo scale said 1780, the Body Pod said 1790, the RMR said 1775. To me, it's a wash.
You're very close.
Yeah, it's very, very close.
And I wonder why it's so close for you and so far off for me.
I don't know.
Unless, maybe the calculations, what they're gathering is based on a man's body, not a woman's body. I wouldn't be shocked if you told me that. But it definitely was very much closer for you.
The reality of the data that they all have is they all have a lot of data, and they all know their users are either men or women, and they can track it too. So they ought to be able to give you
maybe the less
age,
expensive
sex,
scales
whatever.
are not doing good as job with
I don't
the
know.
calculations.
But I mean, to me, that's a wash.
That's a wash. Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't really matter.
So 1,775 calories.
And if I were to track, which I will not, there's no way I could be accurate enough to hit exactly that anyway.
No.
It wouldn't matter. So resting metabolic rate, as we said, 1775, burning more fat than carbs.
Which is different than me, which I thought just was interesting. I mean, why is that? How are you burning more fat than carbs?
I don't know. They don't. Is it a man thing? Is it? I don't know.
It could be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
You did, and then you didn't calculate your beyond that.
It's another 500. What it is? It's you're
right.
You're just taking it off.
So another 500 calories beyond that, 2475. Mm-hmm. I don't see you eating 2475 a day. You know what I mean? We pretty much eat the same.
This is where the science doesn't make any sense. So I am not gaining weight really, and I'm not losing. Although I did have a weird week.
You did have a weird week.
I did have a weird week
with a weird gain in the middle of the week.
But all that makes sense until I look at the scale, and basically the scale goes up and down a couple of pounds every week right now in maintenance. Mm-hmm. So am I varying my calorie intake? Certainly. Is it significant? No, it's really not. So I think this is an interesting test.
I was much more interested in it than you were. Which is fine.
I probably wouldn't have spent $100 on this test. But
no, I absolutely thought it was worth it for me, just because I've been, I've been on a diet my whole life.
So let's
just
go
interesting
back
to know.
To the DEXA scan and kind of talk through again. So both of ours, there was a very minimal difference in most of these results between the Body Pod and the DEXA scan. So if somebody's starting new, what would your recommendation be to them around what they should have at home, whether they should do DEXA scan, that kind of thing?
I really, if you're just starting off, I would advise going and getting a DEXA scan. It is, it's the most accurate, and then you have, data from which to start. I would also recommend buying a Body Pod scale, because it is very close to a DEXA scan in accuracy, and you could have it in your home, in your bathroom every day. Now, a DEXA scan, I did have a doctor mention to me, I think Dr. Golden mentioned, it is radiation. It's an X-ray. So you don't want to get a lot of DEXA scans. I think the operator of DEXA recommended maybe every 6 months. Some people get them as often as every 3 months. But, on a day-to-day basis, a Body Pod is very similar in accuracy to a DEXA scan. So also, the good thing about weighing yourself every day or every week is that on a thing like a Body Pod is that you can see how your muscle is changing over time, and you can see how your fat is changing over time. So sometimes those, those are doing this. And then sometimes when you get here, you might see a stall in your weight number, but your body's just assorting your fat to muscle composition. So I think it could help somebody stay motivated on a weight loss journey, to see those numbers every day on their home scale.
I like the increased numbers, honestly. I mean, I'm in a space where it's a value equation for me. So if you're sitting at home, you're struggling to pay for these medications, and you only have a regular old scale that's not even a bioimpedance scale, if you've got the $20 or $30, I would definitely buy one of those if that's all you can afford.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
If that's all you can afford, it is better than nothing. And if you have a relationship as such with the scale that you can do it every day, I even encourage that, but that's up to you. We all have our own issues there. If you can afford the next step up and get a body pod or something equivalent to it, I do think it's an infinitely better scale. The DEXA scan's interesting because I have heard people pay $25 for a DEXA scan.
Mm-hmm.
We had a viewer the other day said that the DEXA scan where they lived was $200.
Yeah, they can be pricey.
I wouldn't pay $200 for it. I think it's too expensive. I think I'd be much happier just doing a body pod every day. So if you can get it for a good price, absolutely do one at the beginning of this journey and every 6 months or a year or whatever's appropriate to you. Do you have to have it to lose weight? No, you don't.
No, you don't have to have anything to lose weight, right? Yeah, so the body pod, we lost all of our weight with the
$20 scale.
With the $20 scale, and we did just fine, right? But would I have liked to know a more accurate along the way? Of course, right? I'm not looking at this because, I'm making a conscious effort to, improve my body composition as I lose weight, as I build muscle, as I'm eating the protein and drinking the water and exercising and doing all the things. I wear Apple Watch. I want to know how much calories I'm burning. I want to know how many steps I'm taking. I like to see that data, and then I like to know that data is accurate. It really messed with my head because for a long time I'm thinking, oh, I've got 19% body fat. I'm in the athlete range. I'm really doing great here. And then to get on the body pod and the DEXA that told me I really had 30% body fat and I was just average. If you're that just kind of
wasn't measuring the top half of your body.
It wasn't getting all this.
And I've noticed you're a girl.
All my fat's really in my top half. Yeah. So now I appreciate having the accurate measure. And, you might be fooling yourself with a scale that's measuring some things that aren't accurate. Now, your weight is very accurate between all these scales. All of these digital scales these days are very accurate. So if you're just looking at your weight, any scale will do. But if you are concerned about your muscle mass, your lean mass, your body fat percent, and you want to watch that go down or up over time, I would recommend getting the DEXA scan and then getting the body pod for home use. I think that would be optimal. We have a code in the description for the body pod. We're sponsored by the body pod. We have one, obviously, we used one for this demonstration. We have it in our home, and it's just more accurate.
So if all you can afford is the standard 4-point Renpho, or there's other brands.
It's fine. Yeah.
It's fine. Directionally, it will get you where you need to go. At the end of the day, what I was looking for was for this test to actually give something actionable. I don't know that it actually did. I think the general things that we say every day to do are still true regardless of which one of these scales which one of these things you eat your protein, drink your water. All those things don't change. Well, it just gives you a more insight into where you are.
I mean, for me, I do need to focus on hitting my protein goal because I do, I do want to maintain the muscle I have and possibly even gain some muscle. So I do want to focus on my protein goal, and I do want to focus on my overall calorie goal because I think, as I was losing weight on these GLP-1s, I wasn't eating, at the beginning, you just can't fit a lot of food in. And I was really basically just eating protein. Mm-hmm. Well, now that I'm in a maintenance situation, I need to add back in the fruit. I need to add back in the complex carbs, because I need to hit now a higher calorie target to maintain my weight, and all these, I want to have a varied diet. I don't want to only eat protein. I don't want to eat only protein and vegetables and, a little bit of carbs sometimes. I want to eat a balanced diet. And, what does that mean for me? Like this morning, I had a golden kiwi with my breakfast, and at lunch I had a banana, and, just putting those extra 100 calories along with the protein, just to keep everything balanced. That's just what I'm working on.
As I said, the general recommendations are true regardless of which one you measure.
Well, I'm in maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be, that's where I'm at.
It's a very cool test. It really is. I don't know what your facility's like. The facility we went to was lovely. The DexFit people were very nice, and they have locations across the country, I think, as well. So you might find the DexFit that you could use, or there's many, many other ones out there if you're interested. If not, make sure you're measuring and you know what's going on. Look at the trends, see what's going on with yourself. Right?
Yep.
So that's our thoughts on our DEXA scan. Was it life-changing to me? No, it was not.
Well,
it was not. Was it
Christopher's
cool?
not
Yes,
easily impressed. Okay. I thought it was really interesting, and I really appreciated the information. I just really liked seeing the information. So would I do it again in 6 months? Maybe, but I definitely thought it was worth
I think it's a value equation. I think if there was a coupon for $50, okay, go
well,
for it.
I'm all about
If
value.
it's the $200 the lady on the live was doing, I wouldn't.
There's a lot of things we're buying monthly to support our journey. So to add something else in, it really needs to be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that's our thoughts on the DEXA scan, and you got to see all of our numbers. What do you think? I think at the end of the day,
I don't want to know what they think.
No, I want to know what you think. I think at the end of the day, I have achieved my goals. I'm happy with where I am. How about you?
I mean, I'm absolutely thrilled to be where I am with on this journey. I never thought I would be at this weight. It's all good. It's all good. Now it's just kind of fine tuning.
It's living our lives.
Yep.
If you haven't already, please take a moment to like and subscribe. My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
We are the Downsized.
Like and subscribe. Bye.